Hey guys, welcome to the lab. It is 2022 and today is the first episode of the new year. We are already on the 10th episode and this year is going to be a chaotic year for me, myself, and I personally as well. But I really hope that everyone who hears and listens to this podcast enjoys as much as I do. And I really do hope that we can build a bigger community, a stronger community where we get to really love ourselves and really embrace ourselves and get to share more of our creativity, more of our thoughts, and grow as a online platform, as a community, and everything, so that we can really dump and leave it all behind so that we can move on for a better being. So yeah, today we have Chloe and let's just jump straight in. Hey guys, welcome to the lab where we experiment thoughts and life as we break down and discover our ever growing life as a young adult. Today we have Chloe with us in the lab. Hi, Chloe.
Hi.
Can you give us a little introduction of who you are and how you became who you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So where do I start? So my name's Chloe and I am mildly lactose intolerant, but I still eat ice cream. I've got a cat mom and I run a music business, a music teaching business. Yeah, I guess that's me like in a nutshell.
So
um,
music business. How
mhm.
were you always like a music lover or how did you get to do a music business?
Oh, that's such a good question. No, I was forced into it, typical Korean child. My mom forced me
Yes.
into music when I was like 4.
Wow.
And I hated it. I hated it for such a long time until I started teaching when I was 17. And I just fell
Mm.
in love with connecting with my students and helping them actually fall in love with music and seeing them grow. And since then, I think that's changed everything. So, although I hated music growing up, it's always been a part of my life. Like I did it at uni, I did it for HSC, and I'm doing it now. So,
Wow.
it's a massive part of my life. Yeah.
Wow. Was it always like classical music?
I'm classically trained, but I wish that my teachers took a more holistic approach to their teaching because I'm not a classical
Mm.
musician.
Oh,
So
wow.
yes, like I do have a massive background in classical music, but it's not really my forte. I
Mm.
appreciate it and I really enjoy listening to it, but playing is probably not my main love.
Wow. Then would you say like because of your like experience of how you got to learn music, you would want to give that experience more in a holistic approach to the kids that you're teaching right now?
Absolutely. And I think more than that, I think like, we were all in school for like 13 years. And then I was in uni for 6 years after that. And I did some other study on the side. And I don't think like, okay, there are heaps of teachers that you encounter in those years, but I've only had two teachers that left a positive impact on my life. And that impact has lasted. But I was like thinking, teachers have such influence, whether they know it or not.
Mm.
And I learned a lot from the two teachers that left a great impact. And part of me has like developed my approach to teaching through being inspired by those couple of teachers, but also by thinking about like the things that I really didn't enjoy and making sure
Mm.
that I do it differently. Yeah, so it's a bit of a funny one.
Wow. Wow. That's actually really interesting because like we grow up thinking education and school is like the most time that we spend in as well, but yeah, it's not
Mhm.
as enjoyable. And then adults,
Yeah.
especially growing up as a typical Asian traditional person, me, we're always we're at school from like 9 to basically 9 in high school, and
Yeah.
we're spending our most time there. But it would be great to enjoy what we do, but rather always being forced into study. And if we don't get good marks, then we would be technically tortured. And it would be great
Yeah.
to have more people who does think like you in a way where we should educate them so that education can be taught with enjoyment, with hope, and with happiness rather than like negativity.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I feel like rather than being so results driven, I think results are important. Like you need something to measure people's performance. But I think like something that our system is lacking is giving students, whether they're adults, whether they're in their 40s or whether they're like a teenager or a child, but just giving them the gift of the growth mindset and teaching them to fall in love with learning. And I think Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on our education system, especially the school system. But I think there are good people out there, and I'm excited to see what would come with the education system here in Australia. Like, I can't really speak for the world because I haven't lived anywhere else.
Mm.
But you went to school elsewhere, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Grew up, did like primary school in America, did
Yeah.
high school in Korea,
Oh
and
my
doing
gosh.
uni here in Australia. That's pretty weird when you think about it. But yeah,
That's insane. I guess you
it
pretty like
is.
you have a pretty like a wide scope of experience. You have something to compare it to, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I
Very
think it
cool.
all has its like pros and cons where people
Mm.
would ask, "Oh, so which country do you like the most? Which education system do you like the most?" But it's all similar in a way where I thought Australia or
Hmm.
America, because they're so Western, it would be more like, I guess, less pressure.
Yeah.
But Korea, whereas it's hard to get in to like uni or
Yeah.
schools, but so much flexibility inside the school system. Whereas
Hmm.
like Western universities, I feel like it's quite more easier to get in, but way more harder to graduate.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
interesting. Very cool.
So Chloe, I know that you're a very uh big person on holistic approach, holistic being, but
Hmm.
you as a person, how did you find yourself in finding peace as being a person who goes for like holistic being?
That is like such a loaded question. And when you DM'd me, I was kind of like, okay, this is awesome. It's like, where do I start? I think, okay, just in a nutshell, I kind of want to talk a little bit about where I've come from and where I'm at today, but focusing more on the space between. So
Mm,
I grew up in a very tumultuous home. I moved a lot growing up, and my parents weren't emotionally available, or they were very busy. Like, I'm one of six kids and dad was running his own business, and so it was chaos in the best and worst sense. I just feel
mm,
like chaos is the best way to describe my upbringing. Um, and I think we as children, I think we indirectly and directly learn things about our worth through the things that our caregivers say, and the way they treat us and the way they don't treat us. And I think
mm,
I internalized the message of not being good enough. And I guess I neglected myself growing up because I was neglected by my parents. Not that they were intentionally trying to neglect me. They are wonderful people, and they're very different today, but I can't deny that that was my upbringing. And so I neglected my health and I neglected myself for a very long time, until I got to a point where I was just like, I don't think this is working for me anymore.
mm,
And so I guess fast forward to today, I'm very surprised and very grateful to say that I actually like who I am, not because of the way I look or not because of the things I've done or whatever. But yeah, I think I've taken some time to really develop a strong relationship with myself. And I think that space between, it's, yeah, I guess it's a lot of little things, to be honest. I wish I could say there was one pivotal moment, but it was just lots of little decisions that have really shaped me to become passionate about seeing not just myself, but people around me as a whole person.
mm,
Um, yeah, like if we're scrolling on the gram, I feel like everyone who's listening is on the gram. Like,
mm,
it's so easy to look at someone's highlights and looking at like their latest post and then comparing it to like me without makeup on, like feeling sick, or it's just like
yeah.
comparing someone else's like highlight moment to our behind the scenes is not a fair comparison. But that's our culture. Like, we're so image driven and superficial, where we forget that real health isn't just about looking healthy or being thin, but it's about having a healthy mind, having strong relationships, having like a financial plan, and even just having a strong sense of purpose or finding meaning in our lives as well. So
Mm,
I think, yeah, I think there is so much to health, than so much more to health than just being physically fit and healthy. And I think I learned that in a very messy process, but I'm very glad that I'm out the other end today and still on the journey as well.
mm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really amazing. I 100% agree when you say there isn't a pivotal moment of how you got to be who you are and how you discovered yourself as a whole where I definitely agree. And a lot of people would be like, oh, I wish there's that one moment in life that can just transform me. But that doesn't really happen because it's a continuous choice that you get to choose of
Mm.
developing who you are today that makes you who you are today. And I feel that that's
Yeah.
the beauty that I see in you as well, where there's so much glow when I first saw you as well. I remember the first time seeing you, it was like at Sudo's EP release. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, who is that person? Like, who is that person? That's just like attracting me so much. I'm like busy here and there, like giving out pamphlets and stuff. And I'm like, who's that person? Who's that person? I just need to talk to that person. And then it's just so
That's
amazing because
amazing.
the more I get to know about you, the more I get to see like who you are, not like indirectly. It's like
Mm.
there's this confidence that I see inside of you. Not a lot of people has that, and I feel that that's really a little bit sad in the era that we live in nowadays, where
Mm.
if people can just discover a little bit more about themselves, then they can
Mm.
really embrace who they are, not having to compare about them being like less or low of anything. But you have confidence in who you are, and I think that's the beauty of Chloe. And that's what
Oh.
you have that can really inform others to really find beauty inside of who they are. Yeah.
Thank you. That's so sweet. That's so like that's too kind. But I think like
No.
I feel like as much as, as much as like the little decisions kind of shaped who I am today, I feel like a lot of life is shaped by the people we have in our lives. And I'm so fortunate to have such amazing siblings who are like my closest friends. And I don't have a lot of friends. Well, I know a lot of people, but I would only call very few people my friends. And I think I'm just very fortunate to have a strong support system that wasn't built overnight, and it's not something I've always had. I think most
Mm.
of my life, in all honesty, like I'm 27, which is weird to think that, but for I would say probably for 25 years of my life, like if I look back at the first 25 years of my life, minus this like last year and the year before that, I would cringe. I'm so ashamed of who I used to be. And I think it's because I didn't have the right tools. I didn't have the right support system. I didn't really know um, yeah, I guess I didn't really know what I valued and placed a lot of my value on my external appearance. And I don't know if I want to, like, I wasn't sure if I should bring it up in the podcast today, but I've had a really messy journey with my body image. Like, I struggled
Mm.
with anorexia and bulimia for like it kind of the anorexia manifested into bulimia. So that whole body image journey, I think the brunt of it was 10 years. And so, like, I think it
Wow.
really took me to hit dark places and learn to climb out. It was a very messy process, but like, I think that's actually something that really shaped who I am today. And I think the less and less I focus on the external appearance and the more and more I focus on values and real human connection, yeah, it's been phenomenal. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That you
Yeah.
mentioned about body image. I think there are a lot of people, especially because of social media. Like you upload something, and sometimes you might not mean to kind of like approach it in a way where it's like showing off, or it might just
Mm.
be because of the sake that you just want to do it for yourself. But there are people who looks at it and it's like comparism kicks in. But
Yeah.
and for you, it's you said it took you roughly about 10 years to come out of it and be okay about who you are. During the process of you approaching your body image, what was like the toughest thing that you had to go through, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think insecurity is a human emotion. I'm not saying that like I don't ever feel insecure, like I don't ever compare myself. That's not what I'm saying. I still have my moments. I think we all
Mm.
do. But I guess during the 10 years specifically was when I guess it was an extremely dysfunctional relationship I had with both food, exercise, and myself. And I think to really sum it up, this might make it, I don't want to make the experience worse or lighter than it is, but I think the hardest thing about the whole experience was the loneliness. I think, um, yeah, I think eating disorders are very interesting and they're very difficult to heal from because it's like it's like your safety net. So it's like you don't want to get better, and you can't help someone that doesn't want to get better. And I think the whole wrestle between wanting to become better and wanting to become healthier, but wanting to stay in my comfort zone, because controlling my eating and purging and binging and all that was my coping mechanism. That was my safety net. So wanting to get better, but being like, so I guess lured in by my safety net, like that wrestle was hard, and it was extremely lonely, because the way I saw the world was egocentric in a sense, but it was also like a clinical sickness that was very difficult to you just can't, like, if you've been thinking away for 10 years, you can't just like switch the thinking overnight. So I think the whole process of redefining my values and my identity, like that whole process was glorious and messy and lonely. So yeah, I think that was the hardest part. But I think that's what's brought me to value community. Like that's what's brought me to value having a really strong support system. And so if it's taken me that to learn the importance of having strong relationships, I'm grateful for the process.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you reckon that rejection would have to do something with the insecurities that we have? That because of the insecurities that we feel, we might feel as if, oh, that's rejection, when at the same time it might be love. But because of the insecurities that we feel, we already block it with the feelings?
Yeah, I think it can be twofold. Like, I think we might experience something where maybe the other person or party A didn't mean to reject us, but we internalize it as rejection and then feel hurt. But I think there are always going to be moments in life where we are rejected
Yeah.
and we are rejected. And I think our insecurity can prime us to see that rejection as failure, or that's final, or that's fatal. Otherwise, I think now that I've got a healthier mindset, I would probably see rejection as a part of the process. And it's something that I can learn from. It's something that I think can shape us. So yeah, I think it's twofold, or maybe threefold or fourfold. I think rejection it's got layers.
Wow, that's so true. That's so true. Because I feel like there are many of us, especially being a woman, body image
Yeah.
is definitely a big thing where we want to look nice to people, we want to look nice to ourselves, and especially as we like get older year by year, health is a very big thing that we do need to consider. But when
Yeah.
it does come to body image, I personally feel like, oh, health is important, so let's think about health. Hence is why
Mm.
let's like work out, let's make a good
Mm.
body image, let's go on a diet and all those things. But I see myself coming back to the point, like point A, step one, being on level zero again and again and again. And I think I don't know what my problem is, like me personally, where I want to
Yeah.
approach my health in a healthy
Mm.
manner. But when I'm in the
Yeah.
process of it, I keep on seeing myself being in the same loophole, being like, so why is my body the same way? Or how can I make my body look better? But I
Yeah.
know that the center focus is myself, but I feel
Mm.
like it keeps on going away somehow, somewhere. And so I guess
Yeah.
I wanted to seek some advice from you where if I'm in the same loophole again and again, what kind
Yeah.
of advice or suggestions would you be able to give?
Oh, it's such a beautiful question. I really love that. And everything that I share is things that I'm still grappling with, and things that I still put into practice. Like, I can't just be like, I'm completely done with my body image struggles. I've overcome anorexia and bulimia. I'm fine. I'm so confident all the time. That's not it. But something that has really changed my life is understanding and truly grasping the fact that I'm so much more than just my body. And that's the same with you as well, Peace. Like, you are so much more than just your body. Like, you are intelligent, you are funny, you are kind, you are incredibly talented, you are brave. There's so much more to you than just your body. Like, you are physically beautiful, but there's so much more to you that makes you even more beautiful. Like, the depth that you have isn't from your outer appearance, but it's from the the compilation of your experiences and the decisions you've made and the relationships you have that make you who you are today. So I think for me, I guess what I'm trying to say is seeing myself as more than just a physical shell has
Wow.
been, it's taken a long time to get to that point, to be able to see myself in that light. But I think understanding that there is so much more to life than what we see in the physical, and that physical beauty is only skin deep. That was probably one of the biggest starting points for me. Just redefining beauty as beyond the physical. Um, yeah, and I think when it comes down to having healthy routines and habits, I don't think it's a bad thing to want to look good or want to look a certain way. But I think for me, when it's always ended there, it
Mm.
hasn't been satisfying. And I think I would fall back into my old loop patterns again of thinking of like, oh, like, why don't I like why don't I like look different? Like, well, why can't I look like that? And I think for me, I've actually taken a very long time to develop a completely new relationship with eating and exercising. I've taken a very long time to get to this point. And so this
Mm.
advice is something that I am still taking today, like I mentioned before. But I realize that when I eat certain foods, it really like it bloats me up. And when I binge eat or when I starve myself, I don't have energy or I feel groggy and I want to isolate myself from people. And so for me to develop a healthier relationship with food, I've had to see it as like a life-giving force. Like now I
Mm.
eat because I want to be energetic. I want to feel good. I want to have, I guess, the I guess a livelihood about me. And I love exercising now because of the way it makes my body feel. Like I feel stronger. I can feel that I'm protecting my joints for the future. So rather than just focusing on developing healthy habits to look a certain way, when I've decided that I want to do these things because I really want to preserve my health so that I can serve those around me and show up for those around me and show up at work full of energy. I think my why has shifted. Therefore, the what, which is like the exercising and the eating, is more sustainable because it's not
Mm.
just about looking a certain way anymore for me. It's about the way I feel and the way I can help protect my heart and my joint health and my energy as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's 100% so true. So many of us we focus on the what, and still for me, it's so hard to always come back to the why, where it's not for other people. It's not just for myself. It's for my future me. It's for my health as well. But it's so
Yeah.
hard to keep that focus grounded. It's so hard to keep the why so firm when the world just keeps on feeding us, hey, look good to better yourself for other people. You should be the highlight of your friends, or the world just keeps on giving us so many things as we scroll the grams as well. And I feel like
Yeah.
it's hard. And like this morning, I woke up from my bed being like, should I just delete my Instagram account? And like for the first time in forever, I would never think about this, but
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
wow, maybe I'm just in that position where it might be just me growing old, or it might just be me defaulting from what the world gives. But yeah, like it's weird.
Mm.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's so honest. I think I've been there so many times. I'm sure that a lot of people have. And I think like one thing that I think is really important, and I think I'm going to probably bring this up a little bit more in our chat, it's just community. Like, do you have friends who can keep you accountable, not just with your healthy lifestyle, but with your mindset and
Mm.
your sense of identity? Like, do you have people that you could do you have people that maybe are like-minded, people that are wanting to become a bit more secure but healthy as well, but have the like a healthier why or a healthier purpose behind, wanting to establish a healthy lifestyle? Because I think like I'm happy to be like an accountability buddy just to check in with you. How are you going
Yes.
today? Did you have breakfast? I think sometimes like when we do it with people, it just makes it fun. And I
Yeah.
think fun is something that we need more of in life. Like life is so short. Like we need to be laughing. We need to have fun. We need people for that. So I think being healthy, like it can be a cycle of insecurity and doubt and all that. But then I think if we add a little bit of fun in that picture and a little bit of accountability, it just
Oh yeah.
becomes a little more magical. Like it's more sustainable. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking to my friend the other day where it's like we go to the gym every now and then, and we try to keep
Mm.
each other accountable, being like, "Hey, good morning, are you awake? Let's go gym." And we do that, but we don't go. I don't think we've gone more than like 4 or 5 months, but it would always be like,
Yeah.
okay, let's start again. Let's start again. But we were driving the other day and I was like, I like gym. I like the fact of I that I want to be healthy and I love gym. It's just I wish it would be more fun. And like I would
Yeah.
try going Pilates, I would try going gym, I would follow my mom to like those gym session hour that they provide in like what Fitness First and stuff, you know?
Oh
And we would go do
yeah.
those yogas and like the person would call us yogis and I'm like, that's fun, it's interesting. But every now and then when I go do the gym sessions, it's like it's boring. And it's like if
Mm.
only it would be more attractive in a way, I feel like I would explore it more, that I would enjoy it more. But there's no joy inside
Mm.
of what I do with health. And so I was like, what is a good way that I can make exercise more enjoyable so that I can
I love
actually focus
that.
on the health?
I love
Mm.
that. I actually love that, like that rhetorical question that you ask yourself. And I think that's been a game changer for me because I
Mm.
used to run 10Ks every day, like at 5 a.m. You know, it was terrible.
Damn!
I could never do that's torture. But
Damn!
now, like I don't actually run anymore. I think that
Wow.
the type of exercise that brings me joy is I love lifting weights and I don't go for a
Mm.
long time. But I just love it. And I put on like my favorite tunes. I listen to a really good potty. I love swimming. I think I've
Mm.
just taken some time out to discover I think I probably like seeing it more as movement, like just trying to just like experiment and discover what kind of movement actually feels
Mm.
good for me, what kind of movement makes me happy. And
Yeah.
it could be a good, like, I guess, because the gym is great. And I think if I go to the gym all the time every day, I'd get really sick of it and won't want to go. But when I switch it up and go to the gym maybe every like once every second or third day, but then prioritize swimming or just going for a walk even, it makes the gym a little more enjoyable. So it might be
Yeah.
time for you to experiment to see like what makes you feel good. Like, do you just have to like put on some like Justin Bieber and dance in the mirror for like 5 minutes? Like, it doesn't have to look like going to a Pilates class, you
Oh my
know?
gosh. Yeah. That makes
Yeah.
sense. That definitely makes sense. And I feel like it's really interesting because kind of going off tangent, it's like
Yeah.
being brought up as a Korean, I guess. There's so many images that implies to you, especially in your 20s. It's like you have to live this kind of way, you have to look this certain way, and I guess
Mm.
being like moving so many to so many countries as well, it's always been, oh, I have to be this person, and I've been
Mm.
putting myself inside of a certain image. And coming to Sydney and living here in Sydney, I've got to kind of like take off so many layers of clothing that wasn't actually me. And
I love
so
that.
the process of it was rather weird and awkward because I would always put on so many makeup and people who sees me were like, "Oh, why do you always put so much drag queen makeup on you?" And like they would ask me, "Are you like a drag queen or something?" And I'd be like, "That's just who I am." And then one day I would like slowly like wear off makeup and someday I wouldn't put on makeup at all and I feel so insecure about it because makeup was
Yeah.
like definitely who I was. And then the moment I take it off, I feel so comfortable because you don't have anything on your skin and it's so good,
Yeah.
but it feels awkward. But then once I get used to it, I'm like, maybe this is who I am. Maybe
I
that
love
is who I
that.
am. And
I
I think I'm
love
still
that.
in the process of that. So, yes, like every now and like these days, ever since COVID as well, just being
Mm.
home, you don't really put on a lot of makeup, you know? But
Yeah.
I would always be the one like putting on makeup, even though I'm home 24/7. But I'm
Mm.
like completely opposite now, where it's like I'm okay with no makeup and it
Mm.
feels awkward, but just when I see myself in the mirror, it's like I'm proud of you, Peace. It's okay to like that's who you are, you know, and just accepting that process. I think it
I
really
love
takes a
that.
lot of time, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, time. And it's almost like I feel like the relationship we have with ourselves is something that it's the most important relationship.
Mm,
And I think like when you asked about rejection, I look back and I feel like I rejected myself. And I think that's the reason why I was so tied up in my insecurity and my habits for such a long time. And I think kind of going off that, like the relationship we have with ourselves is something that we have to build as well.
mm,
It's not just something that you know, some of us were very fortunate to grow up in very healthy homes where our parents were able to teach us values and were able to love us and support us. But even then, I know that people who grew up in healthy homes will have similar struggles. And I think those who came from more tumultuous homes like myself, like that relationship with myself has always been a battle. But I think it's something that takes time, like you said, and it takes just little decisions. And I love that you actually, even if you're uncomfortable and awkward, you chose like to not put makeup on just so that you could become more comfortable with who you really are behind the layers. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. Like, that's amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, I did ask you, like, hey, let's talk about rejection and criticism. And I was
Yeah.
definitely thinking about it in a way where it's like the world's rejection, like me comparing to the
Mm,
world or me versus the world. But I think when we actually think about it, it might be like I has to be the one
mm,
facing myself. Like it's not me
absolutely.
against the world. It's about are you not rejecting yourself? Like the reason why we can't accept criticism is because we don't allow ourselves to be loved by who we are as myself.
Mm.
Mm,
Yeah, I think oftentimes, like I know for me personally, when I felt it was me against the world, it was always me against me,
yeah.
always. And I think when we choose to stop waiting for someone else to accept us completely or change ourselves to be accepted, that's when we can actually choose to show up for ourselves and be that person that we've been like waiting for, you know? I
Yeah.
think like, you know, if we ideally think about like a perfect, even if it's like a romantic relationship, like sometimes like a lot of my friends are like who are single are like miserable, you know, and they're like, I just want this person. But I think like it's so important to take that time out to become that person for yourself, like
Mm,
to show up for yourself and to commit to yourself and to be loyal to yourself and have those uncomfortable conversations with yourself. Like, what's making me feel insecure? Like, what's something that is that I'm believing that's not actually a healthy core belief? And I think, yeah, I think investing in the relationship we have with ourselves is something that our culture doesn't really teach us, but it's something that I think is incredibly life changing and essential.
yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Wow. What is something that like we can raise an awareness of for the people who are listening? Yeah.
Hmm. I think for anyone who's listening, I guess if I could share one thing, um, that's been really life changing for me is it's really important to take out the time to think about what is important to you, not because your mum told you, not because your
Mm,
church told you, not because you hear on the news, but really think about the experiences you've had, the good, bad, and ugly, and don't judge yourself. Just examine those experiences and examine your emotions with curiosity. I think oftentimes people kind of like just label anger as a bad emotion. But I feel like anger is an incredibly powerful emotion that teaches us what's important to us. Because when we feel
yeah.
angry, oftentimes something that's important to us has been taken away or broken or damaged. And I think when we examine our anger or even our sadness with curiosity and even our insecurities with curiosity, it teaches us a lot about ourselves. So I would say listen to your emotions and listen with curiosity and really figure out why you're feeling the way you are. And in doing so, you'll discover the things that are important to you. And I think the secret to living a rich and meaningful life, there's so many, but like one of them is to make small decisions consistently in line with those things that you value. I think at first you need to take time to figure out what they are. And once you know what they are, just show up for yourself, commit to yourself. And like peace, like you said, it's going to be awkward sometimes. It's going to be like weird, but then just keep showing up for yourself, you know?
Wow.
Because those little decisions we make are the things that change our lives completely. It's like that's the snowball effect. It's like the butterfly effect is a beautiful thing. And I think for me, that it's so this is like I'm like I'll tell you guys one thing. I'm like giving you guys like an essay.
Yes.
But alongside, I guess, making those small decisions in line with your values, something that is really important is to recognize the things that are not within our control and recognizing the things that are within our control and really just choosing to focus on the things that are within our control. And it's those small decisions I was just talking about, making those small decisions based on our values is something that is always going to be within our control, no matter what happens around us, no matter how crazy or chaotic the world is, or no matter like what culture tells us. Like, as long as we show up for ourselves and we have a strong relationship with ourselves, I think that's how we can develop a layer of self-respect. And every time we practice that layer, like, I guess we'll just build another layer as well. So when we've got a strong relationship with ourselves, we're going to do, like, it's a power move. Like, we're going to do damage. We're going to serve those around us with security, and we can really add value without wanting anything back in return. And I think that's where true joy is found.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's so true, because the smallest things are the biggest things that does come back to us. But like, I definitely see myself wanting something so big, something so bad, that I want it now. And all of us,
Mm,
especially the world, because the technology, everything is moving so fast right now, that when we think
mm.
about something, we want it now. And so if the result doesn't come ASAP, it's like, where's the patience? And so I
Yeah.
feel like that is definitely something that we do need to work on, where the technology feeds us that everything's going to be fast, but what if technology is not there anymore? I feel like the
Mm.
world is going to be more chaos. We're all going to be like pigs and cows, and I'm afraid that might happen one day, you know? But yeah.
Yeah, I think as long as we protect what we can control, even if the
Yeah.
world does turn to pigs and cows, we're gonna be okay.
Facts. Then, if you don't mind me asking, what's something that you are taking control of right now for yourself? And also, what is one thing
Hmm.
that you realized this is something that I cannot control, so I'm gonna let it go?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think if I could choose to share one thing, it's to like investing in my relationships. I think there have been studies conducted by Harvard researchers, and they're longitudinal studies conducted over 70 years, and they examined men and they actually examined levels of their happiness, and they found that it wasn't like the holidays they went on or the money they earned or the assets they had that made them happy or predicted their levels of happiness. It was the strength of the relationships they had. And like I mentioned earlier in this potty, I've learned the value of relationships through a very painful way. And so I think something I am controlling is being more assertive and being more intentional with reaching out to the right people, and making that a priority. No matter how busy life gets or no matter how chaotic things are, I think, yeah, just shooting that text or organizing that phone call or going for that coffee date, like they're things that I'm going to really prioritize. And like just along that line, say like if someone wasn't keen to hang out, that's something that's outside of my control. Just let go of it. Just try to reach out to someone else who I think might have time.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
Wow.
And I think like maybe on a bigger scale of what's outside of my control is I am quite worried about COVID. I don't really mind about getting sick because I'll bounce back, and I've already had COVID now. So I'm kind of like, I think I'm going to be okay. But I
Mm.
think it did have a really big impact on my business and my confidence and my mental health last year because I live alone. So I think I think it will be an incredible challenge for me to overcome internally, just being resilient and open to pivoting if something happens again with COVID. Like I think for me specifically, it's like having to close my business or take everything online, which is great, but ideally it'd be great if that didn't happen.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's outside of my control though. So that's something that I can only respond to because life is 10% what happens and 90% how you respond to it. So that's going to be a good challenge for me.
Wow, I love that. I was actually reading a book that actually said a quote along those lines, where
Yeah.
it's not just about the result, but it's about how you approach it and the process of it. Wow.
I love that.
Wow.
So cool.
What does your day look like, Chloe?
What does my day look like? A work day or just a holiday?
Like, what does a holiday look like, and what does a work day look like for you?
That's such a good question. Holidays, I guess, even, yeah, I think as much as I love people, and I'm definitely like a people person, I love my own company and I've really come to enjoy my own company. So
Mm.
I wake up, I need my coffee. I need
Oh
at
yeah.
least 2 coffees. So I'll like boil the
Three?
kettle. Two.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
yes.
and then some mornings I'll go straight to the gym after my coffee, but other mornings I go for a swim. Like today I went for a swim. Yeah, I would probably clean, put some music on, read a book, text some friends. And if I'm not doing those things, yeah, I'll be out with friends. But I do love reading. I love writing. It's not really that exciting. Like it really is like so ordinary. And
Wow.
my work day would generally start quite early. So I'd wake up, get ready, go to work. And then the nature of my work is I've got a chunk of free at lunchtime. So I'd often go for a swim or go adventure somewhere during lunchtime. And then I'll work for the rest of the day, finish off the day with seeing a friend or going to the gym. So it's nothing too special.
Wow.
It's very ordinary.
Wow.
But I think it
Wow.
does, yeah, even if it's ordinary, I think I've learned to find the magic in those little moments and
Yeah.
making it an effort to make the ordinary feel more like an adventure. So,
I
yeah.
love that. That's so amazing. Really appreciating like how you spend your day because there's not a lot of people who like finds the adventure of the day, you know? And that's
Yeah.
really that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, life is too short. I used to take myself so seriously, and anyone who'd know me like would from the past would think I'm like this boring old soul. But now it's like I've become more of a child, and I'm
Mm,
so like determined to see the magic in every moment and just make life fun. Like
yeah.
it sounds so lame.
Yeah.
It's simple, but it really makes life worth living. Yeah, I think that's what makes life fun. It's just
Yeah.
making an effort, I guess.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I feel that. I feel
Mm.
that. Like I would always be the person who is serious myself. Like we go to parties, I don't laugh. Like honestly, I don't no, still for now, I don't understand comedy. So as much as I want to, when everyone laughs, I'm like, why are you
Yeah.
laughing? I don't get the joke. Like what's the joke? And they would explain it to me. I'm like, I still don't get it. And it's like I feel bad because I don't understand, even though I
That's
want to, but
okay.
that's how bad I
Yeah.
am with like humor. Like God created me with
Yeah.
no humor at all, maybe, but
I
like
think you have a different sense of humor because it's like I'm the same. Like I'm very slow to get jokes, but I think if anything, I laugh at myself. So
yeah,
like
same.
I'm actually but I think that's where like the magic is there. Like when you're able
Oh
to laugh
yeah.
at yourself, I think that says something. I think that's
Oh
a
yeah.
really good thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think that
Yeah. You just
proves
have a
right
different sense.
that yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to laugh at what everyone else laughs at. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's the
just
unique part of it.
that's it. Like I think it's just a different sense of humor, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of books are you reading at the moment?
um, right now, I guess I'm reading a book by Carol Dweck called Growth Mindset, and it's actually part of the curriculum of a course that I'm doing at the moment. So I'm doing a coaching course, and it's one of the prerequisites, and it's a beautiful book that really speaks about, I guess, how mindsets can be changed. And yeah, I think it's a powerful book. And for anyone who's listening who is looking for a good read, read it. So it's called Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck. Really good stuff.
Ooh. Wow. Are you like when you say you studying like a coach, is it more of like mindset and like the way we approach our thoughts a little bit with
Yeah.
psychology?
100%. That's pretty much what it is. So it's like mindset, but also behavioral change based on like psychological concepts. Yeah. So it's all about
That's
shifting the
amazing.
mindset and behavior by really targeting the mindset part. Um,
Mm,
yeah.
that's amazing.
Mm.
I'd be really interested to talk more later when
Yeah.
I have the knowledge of how that works. But that's really interesting because the more I live my days, I feel like because I think I'm a workaholic where I do think a lot,
Yeah.
but I put my body
Mm.
into it first. So if I think about
Right.
something, it's like I project more. And then when I think
Mm.
about it, it's like if only if I had the right mindset, the body
Mm.
work. Wait, does that make sense? Wait, so if I
Mm-hmm.
had the right mindset, I can add a little fun to when I actually project it. But I don't
Hmm.
think about the fun where I just project it. And so the more I live day by day, I realize mindset and the way we approach um, the things that we are going to take action of is actually
Hmm.
really important because it'll change how you receive the result.
I love that. I love that.
That's
I think it's so
that's
cool that you have an
crazy.
awareness. Like, I think it always, ignorance is bliss. And awareness is hard because it's like you have the knowledge and it's just hard to action it. But the
Mm.
awareness is like a very important part. And I love that. Like, you are obviously clearly aware of the mind body connection, which is so, so, so cool. Yeah, I guess now the fun part is really prioritizing the fun and just really, I guess, thinking first
Yeah,
before acting. But sometimes
yeah,
we have to act and then we think. Everyone's different. There's no right or
yeah,
wrong way. Yeah.
yeah. That's so beautiful, man. That's so beautiful. When, like, the last question I do want to ask, like, self-love
Mm.
and self-care is a very big thing. But what is the
Mm.
biggest thing to be aware of when it comes to self-love?
I think love or the concept of self love, I always thought it was a fluffy thing. I think I've always waited for the feeling of like waiting to feel lovable, but I've learned that love is a verb. And whether that's with other people or towards myself, I think I might use the word self love and self respect interchangeably here. I think for me, when I've started showing up for myself and making those little decisions I spoke about earlier, it's like every time I've done something that I didn't feel like that I knew would be good for my future self, that actually builds a layer of self respect slash self love. And I think in the moments we feel most unlovable is the moment we need to show up for ourselves the most. And it's like we just can't wait for that feeling to feel like I'm ready to love myself. It's something
Mm,
that comes after the action, which goes back to like what you were saying too, P. Sometimes we have to take the action before thinking because the feelings often come after. And so if you could leave with anything, whoever's listening, love is a verb. Self-respect is something that we don't just feel, it's something we have to build. And it starts with the little things. Um, yeah, I hope that was helpful for anyone.
that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful, Chloe. I feel like you're such a cool being. Like, yeah.
If you really knew me, you'd be like, she's the lamest person I've ever met. Ask
Nah,
any of my
I
siblings,
don't
I'd be
think
like,
so.
Chloe's just like the weirdest person ever.
Yes, Pseudo does mention that, where it's like, oh, she's weird, but she's the best. She's cool, and like that's what
Oh,
I love about her. And so it's really interesting. I can't wait until we actually meet in person
I
because
can't
I
wait
feel like
to.
the whole in person is gonna be a different approach.
Yeah, I think it's always different to online, but I've always been keen to catch up with you. So hopefully, after the COVID situation dies down a bit, we'll catch up properly.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Also, like, what are some social media things that people can follow you? Like, I know you have Instagram. I know you have your website
Yeah.
as well, where you upload your thoughts,
Yeah.
where it's super amazing. I love that there is a platform where people can reach, where it's not too
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, it's a chunk of words. But when you actually read it, it feels like you're actually talking to me personally. So
Oh, I'm
I
so
love all the writings.
glad.
Where is a place where people can actually find you and get to know more about you?
Yeah, so I think if you want to connect with me, my Instagram is at Chloe Lucieadam. And like you mentioned, Peace, my website is where you can read certain articles and blogs that kind of actually touch a lot on what we spoke about. Like I write a lot about body image, but really targeting the mindset and the relationship we have with ourselves. And I write a lot about like mental health and like about our highlight reel culture versus how to actually be happy off screen. So that's all on my website, chloeadam.com. I think that's, if you just type it in without the www, it should work. But yeah, just chloeadam.com. They're probably my two main platforms. And look, like I'm always keen to connect. So if you have any questions about like body image or whatnot, I'm not perfect, but I'm happy to like connect and chat if anyone wants to connect.
Yes, that's so good. That's so good. Well, final question that I ask everyone who comes in. Is there
Yeah.
anything you'd like to leave behind in the lab before you go?
Ah, as in like words or
Words or like, oh, I want to dump this thought and just move on with it, or anything for the listeners or for yourself when you look back and listen to it. Yeah.
that's such a good question. I haven't actually thought about that. Um, I think maybe I'll dump a thought, and it's something that I am really holding on to. And I hope that anyone who's listening, this will benefit you guys too. It's the healthier the relationship we have with ourselves, the better it is for everyone around us. And so I think it's a relationship worth investing in. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Chloe, for
Thank
being in the lab with
you.
us today. Um,
Oh, so
yeah,
good.
you're actually the first guest of 2022. And
No
so,
way.
yes, and I wanted to start off to for the listeners as well, like have a clear mindset, start your year off with like an holistic approach to really love yourself and to respect who you are as just who you are. So, thank you so much, Chloe.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Was really amazing. Yes, go check out Chloe at her Instagram. And like she mentioned, if you want to reach out, Chloe's such an amazing person. So, once again, thank you, Chloe, and really hope to meet you in person and chat again soon.
Ditto.
Okay.
Uh, so
That's
good.
so amazing.
So I'm
I
so
love.
sweaty. I didn't realize how hot it would get, but can you see? I kept like wiping the sweat off my face. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah, it is getting hot, eh? It doesn't really seem that
Yeah.
it's that sunny, but I feel like because of that, it's more humid in a way.
Yeah, it's so sticky. It's nuts. Yeah. Yeah.
What is your agenda for the day now?
But today, I think today I'm gonna do a lot of admin work, just in my own time, and I need to clean. My house is a bombshell, so I'm gonna clean. And I'm seeing a friend. I'm having a friend over for dinner, and we're gonna cook because we're both really bad at cooking. So we're gonna
Ah,
like try something. We're gonna try to cook burgers. So it's not really cooking, but like we'll do it.
yes, I'm excited to see that. Please upload it on your Instagram so that
I
I may
will.
see how the burgers turn out.
Yeah. What about you? What are you up to today?
Same. I think I'm gonna clean up my room, kind of
Hmm.
organize what I have to do now, and just I don't have
Nice.
much in plan, so just rest and see how it goes.
Cool. That's awesome. It's so nice, especially if you say that you're a workaholic. It's so nice to like have a day where you don't have to like really be on a schedule, apart from like obviously our chat was like scheduled in, but like nice, right? To just have a bit of an open day where you can just do whatever, whenever.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely needed. Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chloe. I
It's a
really
pleasure.
hope to talk more. There's so many
Me too.
interesting things in your brain that I would like to know of.
Ditto. I think I'd like to hear more of your story too, because I know that you're the interviewer. Um, yeah, it'd be really cool to get to know you more. I think I think there's a depth to you. And I think like what I said before about like the things that make you beautiful, like I really meant that. There's
Mm,
so much to you that is beautiful. Like you are physically beautiful, and that's the truth. But like there is so much to you that makes you even more beautiful. So I hope you hang on to that. And I hope that just shapes the way you approach your day and your week as well. I think if we operate out of a place of security, um, yeah, it's completely different. Like we could be doing the same thing physically, but when we operate out of security as opposed to
mm.
insecurity, the fruits are so different. Like I think
Um,
like it's either shame or guilt or whatever, or like a sense of like value and empowerment that will always trickle on to everyone around us.
yeah.
So yeah, just make sure you operate out of the fullness of who you are. Yeah.
Wow. Such a great encouragement. Ugh. I shall soak it in and embrace it to the fullest. Thank
Yay.
you so much. Means so much. For
Yeah,
real.
it's a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Yeah, well, I hope you have an amazing day cleaning and organizing and resting.
Same to you.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much, Chloe.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.